And then I'll probably go somewhere else. Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Martin Cliffe here from my studio here in Hong Kong, and what will probably be my last update from this room. I may shoot the odd guitar playing video, but generally this is going to be it, because where are we? We're 6th of June. I've got about a week where I'm fairly busy, then I go in and I have my dental surgery that I've talked about in the last update video, and then I've got another busy week after I've recovered from that, and then starting to pack up, because then we go back to England and then we come back and we move flat. So as I say, this may well be certainly the last update video. It may be the last video from this room, from this studio, if you will. Kind of hesitate to call it that, because really, let's face it, it's a bedroom. And fair enough, the room that I'm moving into will be a bedroom, but it'll be a bedroom without a bed, so I can call it a studio more. What can you say? We're very fortunate in the accommodation that we get provided here, so I can't complain too much. But when you get used to having 20 foot by 10 foot dedicated studio spaces, it does make things interesting adjusting. What can you do? So, just wanted to update. Basically, there hasn't been any I don't want to say there hasn't been any progress with writing. There hasn't been any progress with recording, because I've been quite sick following my aborted dental surgery. So basically, to summarise, my body was reacting against the anaesthetic, so it fought it off. So after 20 minutes of the operation, they had to abandon it because they could feel the drill. So I've got to go in and have it done under dental sedation, they call it. Initially it was looking like it was going to have to be general anaesthetic. Fortunately, at least for our bank balance, that's not the case, and they're confident they can do it under dental sedation, which is a little bit less severe and a lot cheaper, so that's good at least. So that's happening a week on Saturday, on the 14th. I think it's the 14th. Yeah. So I'm going to be out of action for a few days after that, and then life gets really quite hectic for the rest of June. So obviously not looking forward to having the procedure done, but looking forward to the fact that I will not have pain and weird sensations in my mouth and weird tastes and all that kind of stuff, which obviously I will have for a few days afterwards while I'm still recovering. But it's been pretty nasty because they had to abandon the operation partway through. They ended up with a really jagged, sort of sharp peak of tooth at the back, and that then cut on my cheek and ripped the skin open, cut on my tongue and ripped the skin open. So I've had days of ulcers and bleeding and general nastiness. It's getting better, but it's not been fun. So obviously once there are no sharp teeth left over, then it will be a little better. I've just noticed this is still recording. I don't need that recording now because that was for the guitar tracks, not for my voice. Okay, so yeah, there hasn't been any progress with recording. I've written some more stuff, and I've gone back and listened to some of the improv stuff that I've done. I've also recorded a few more things today, just on video, because as well as it being a case of me putting stuff up on YouTube to keep my nearly 250 now subscribers entertained, it also means that it gives me a concrete record so I can go back and listen to things and say, yeah, I like that idea. I don't like that idea so much, but that might work. And in fact, just I think it was yesterday, I had a comment on one of my videos just saying someone really enjoyed it, and that made me sit down and listen to it again. It's like, this is cool, and I really got some things back out of it from listening to what I'd done, because most of what I play is improvised, so it's always nice to then be able to go back, and particularly if other people enjoy it, I can then go in and pick out bits that work really well. So that's cool. So yeah, the progress is happening slowly. The good news is, in some ways, it is that next year I will be almost certainly working full time here at the school. Good news in the sense that it will keep me busy and it will help finances and all that kind of thing. It does mean I will have less time to shoot video and do guitar stuff, although hopefully I'm not going to let that impact me too much. I will still be shooting regular videos, just maybe only one day a week or something like that, Saturday or Sunday afternoon, who knows. So that there will be possibly slightly less content, and certainly I'm going to have less time to record, but it just means I need to be more focused in my recording process and my video making and everything else, which I can do, I've done before. I just need to get out of the pattern I've had this year of where I've had all the time in the world pretty much. So, but I'm looking forward to it in a sense. Well, I am looking forward to it. It'll be good. Now, various people, various of my friends on YouTube and wherever, various other guitar players have done these frequently asked questions videos, and I've been inspired by those, but I've never asked any of those questions. So this isn't a frequently asked questions. This is occasionally asked questions, and I would really like it if they were asked more often, kind of thing. Just wanted to, please ask if you have any questions about my playing or my gear or anything. Please do ask, because I like answering these questions. I have a love-hate relationship with forums. Sometimes I'm quite active on them. I'm a member and pretty active on HugeRacksInc.com. Moderately active on the gear page, and recently the Grim Noodlers forum. And also on RJM Music's own forum. I'm reasonably active when I can be on there, although there's a lot of the questions nowadays have been about Mastermind GT that I haven't used since the initial prototype. I'm a little bit out of the loop on that, but where I can I still help out there. The easiest way to ask me questions about gear and stuff is on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. And about music. Now, one of the questions that I have been asked, although I admit not often, is about influences. So I thought I would sort of basically take a run through in my life as a musician. I started playing guitar initially when I was about 8. My mum had an acoustic guitar, and I went. There was a guitar club at school, so I took my guitar along and I had a go. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't play guitar so young, but for me it wasn't right. My fingers just weren't dealing with it, and I didn't enjoy it at all. So that was fair enough. It wasn't like I'd gone out and bought a guitar to learn at that stage. So yeah, that was something that I put on the back burner. And then as I was getting kind of 11, 12, I was starting to get more into music. I played the piano from very young. I think I was about 5 when I started playing the piano, 5 or 6. And so yeah, when I got to kind of 11 or so, I was into guitar, getting into guitar, and certainly into music generally. And in fact I was kind of drawn towards bass at the time, but then I don't know what happened, but at some point I changed my mind and decided I wanted to learn guitar, and I wanted to learn electric guitar. So I pestered my mum and dad, and eventually they got me a cheap Encore Stratocaster copy, E76 I think the model was. It was kind of vintage white. It looked like Jimi Hendrix's guitar, which was why I went for that, because they had it in different colours. And I basically sat down and learnt to play, and practiced. So my initial inspiration as a guitar player, initially obviously I was learning stuff like basic, Shadows tunes and chords and all that kind of stuff. And then, but really it was Def Leppard to an extent, but certainly Bon Jovi. Richie Sambora was my first kind of guitar hero, I guess you'd call it. And I was kind of, I enjoyed some of the music of bands like Guns N' Roses, but I was never that into that kind of image. The slightly kind of sleazy, grubby image is just something that has never appealed to me at all. I don't understand. So yeah, I can certainly, and certainly now looking back, I can appreciate what what Slash was doing and people like that. And at the time, I didn't get Maiden at all. Since then, I've really grown to enjoy Iron Maiden, but back then that wasn't for me at all. So as I say, it was Bon Jovi and Def Leppard initially, and then as I kind of discovered more of the kind of glam metal bands, the other guy who was definitely John Norum from Europe, who I'm still a huge fan of. Fantastic guitar player, great band, despite the fact that they kind of get pigeonholed for the Final Countdown, which was a good song for its time, but definitely not representative of them. And it's just the way things go. Bands get attached to a certain song in the same way that Mr. Big had To Be With You labelled, hung around them, and Extreme had More Than Words. And they again are two bands. Kind of the next stage of my playing was when I got into Extreme and Mr. Big and Winger, definitely as well around then. And then Queensryche, I grew to appreciate the contrasting styles, although I didn't really realise them as being very contrasting at the time. I just enjoyed that they were doing different stuff between Chris D'Agamo and Michael Wilton. We're talking Empire era of Queensryche here, and then on to Promised Land. So that was stuff that really inspired me early on. Fast forward a couple of years, so I'm now about 18, 19. I've been playing a lot of bass at this point, but I go off to university and meet a guy there called Stefan, who introduces me. He said, "Hey, if you like Queensryche, you'll like Dream Theater." And so got a couple of their CDs, really got into that. the CDs at the time were Awake and Images and Words and Live at the Marquee. I later got When Dream Day Unite, which I was not as into, although a couple of tracks on there are very cool. But yeah, Awake and Images and Words, particularly Awake, were hugely influential for me. I am not a shredder, I have never been a shredder, I never kind of set out to be able to play like John Petrucci, but it would have been nice. And then later on, more recently than that, I got very into, well, kind of through Dream Theatre and through Mike Portnoy, I then got into Transatlantic, which introduced me to the Flower Kings and Rainer Stolt, who is huge impact on my playing and has been for quite a few years now. And he's very much influenced by David Gilmour, which made me then go back and appreciate David Gilmour. The other kind of big player really whose impact is probably the greatest on me is Steve Rothery from Marillion, who has very much a playing for the song approach, which I really appreciate. Again, we're talking now the last 8, 9, 10 years that Steve Rothery has been really influential on my guitar playing. And then more recently than that, Andy Timmons, in the last 4 or 5 years. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times at the NAMM show when I was there 4 years ago, 3 years ago, yeah, 2011. Lovely guy, fantastic player, so yeah, he's really inspired me. And I'm missing someone. Trey Anastasio from Fish. Again, earlier on I tried listening to Fish because Mike Portnoy had raved about it and didn't get it at all. And then at one point I got to a point where it clicked and it made sense and I appreciated it. And that's happened to me quite a lot over my musical progression. And I think it happens to many people. Yeah, there are people who listen to metal and listen to metal and listen to metal and stay in that metal zone. That hasn't happened to me. Very much, my musical tastes have changed over the years fairly significantly. To the point that I can still go back and I can listen to Megadeth and Metallica and appreciate it and play it to a certain extent, although my technique is not what it was in terms of that kind of style. But I've moved on to appreciating a kind of, I guess, more advanced, but just kind of slightly more easy listening approach in a way. I know jam bands and fans of them would hate me saying that, but it is the kind of music that you can put on and chill out to, and in my life that's something that I appreciate, that kind of music. I'm not one who wants to be, music, different styles of music for me kind of can either increase or decrease tension, and I find if I listen to too much heavy or complicated technical stuff, it actually raises my tension level. And as someone who over the years has battled with stress and depression, that's something that doesn't work for me. I actually need to listen to music that kind of pulls me down and chills me out, relaxes me, makes me feel happy. So that's why the music that I listen to now is maybe not as kind of intense and in your face as the music I listened to 10 years ago. So yeah, I think that pretty much summarises my journey. I have battled over the years with technique and frustration. I've hit many ruts. Come to appreciate the fact that while there are certain things that I'm not great at, my coordination in terms of alternate picking and certainly sweep picking is not great. So shredding is not something that I can really do. My hybrid picking skills have really come on. I'm quite a versatile player with my right hand, so just because I can't do one thing amazingly well, I have quite a range of tools that maybe you shred heads don't have. So it's not always a bad thing to be different than the people around you. It just means that you don't necessarily fit in, but that's something that I've battled with, I've dealt with over the years because I've never really fit in. In terms of I think that's something else that's inspired me. Is a couple of my internet friends, if you will, who have battled with some major issues in their lives over the last few years. I have friends who've recovered from alcoholism, which fortunately I there, but by the grace of God, I have not had an issue with that. I enjoy a drink, but it's not been never something that's important to me in that kind of way. So it's not been something that I would miss. As a result, I'm very fortunate that I have not developed any kind of addiction like that. I've also got friends who've really battled with their weight. I mean, I battle with my weight, but friends who've really struggled with it. So I'm very fortunate that while I look back on my videos on YouTube from 2 years ago and think, goodness, I really didn't look well. And certainly, if I had videos on YouTube from 4 or 5 years ago, I really wouldn't have looked well, because that's when I was dealing particularly with work-related stress and depression and all that. I'm getting there. It's a slow process, but in many ways, the slower you take it, the more likely it is to stick. I've lost quite a few pounds over the last couple of years. Still got a long way to go. But as I say, 2.5 years ago, I was kind of kicking around at 18 stone, which is 250 pounds or so. I've got down to about 16.5, which is 225, I think. Would really like to get to 210 or even 205, just under 15 stone would be great. So that's kind of my target, is to get down there. And it's happening gradually, so which I think is a healthy way to do it. I'm under 40 still for a few years yet, so that's definitely if I could get down to that by well before I'm 40, and then maintain that weight, that would be something that would be beneficial for my health and my self-confidence, because that certainly is something that we talk about battles, and as someone who never fit in at school, self-confidence is something that I've struggled with throughout my life, and that has obviously then contributed to lack of focus and depression and stress and all that kind of things. They're all tied in together, and it's hard growing up in this day and age. And I still think I'm growing up. I'm 36 years old, but I'm still learning how to be me. And I think too many people forget that you get to a point where you're expected to be kind of complete, and I don't think we ever are. I think some people reach a kind of stability earlier than others, and I think that's great. I really wish in some ways that was me, but we are who we are. Anyway, I think I seem to have rambled on quite a lot, so at this point I'm going to just play out on this video. As I hope everyone has a great summer. I'm looking now, it's checking it down with rain. It wasn't 5 minutes ago. But just wishing everyone a really good summer. Hope you have fun and safe, whatever you're doing. And I will probably not be back on until start of August. So, till then, take care guys. I'll see you soon.